I'm recording. It does not want to play my music. Welcome into Backyard Brothers podcast. Well, this is a special episode for us because we don't usually record in the afternoons on weekdays, but we are here because it is Wild Card Weekend, and we wanted to have a little bit of competition uh, among us, picking some predictions based on the scores of these wild card games, as well as just providing a little bit of quick analysis about the games. Um, so we're going to go through these six wild card games and provide a little bit of analysis and predictions. So that's why we're meeting today. We'll also meet on Saturday morning for our regularly scheduled programming. But um, let's jump in here. We are talking wildcard playoffs alone, and we're going to start in the order that the games happen. So we're going to jump right into the fire here because it's essentially Scott's favorite team against Cody's favorite team. We
Yep.
got the Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers. These are division rivals. They've played twice already. This is number three. The 49ers have dominated both of the previous games, and they've dominated the season so far. They have won 10 in a row. They show no signs of stopping no matter who plays quarterback. They have a third string rookie quarterback uh, playing and starting and doing well against a Seattle team that kind of stumbled into the playoffs. They won their last two games to kind of get there, but they had lost 4 out of 5 before that. And their offense is kind of sputtering, but they made it. And so everyone is 0-0 now. So we are jumping into Seahawks versus 49ers. Um, because I introduced it, I will also make my first prediction and then pass it over to Dustin. This is a game that I think the 49ers are it's not really going to be any different than the previous games. 49ers are going to dominate this one from beginning to end. Seahawks are going to come back a little bit, but not quite enough. My final score prediction is 33-22 49ers. And that's because the 49ers run game is one of the best in the league, and the Seahawks really struggle to defend the run. They're 30th in the NFL against the run. In addition to that, 49ers top ranked defense makes life really difficult for any team they play. Most, and that's been the downfall of the Seahawks in these games. So passing it on to either one of you.
I'll just go ahead and jump in since it's my team, Seahawks. So, um, let me just say my prediction out front. I say the 49ers are also going to win this game. It's going to be 27-17 49ers. Um, this is the Seahawks facing the 49ers, who is the only team to have blown out Seattle twice this year. So, um, I think that 49ers have just too much offensive firepower. Their defense is astounding, and a 10 game win streak, I think, or 11 game win streak.
10. Yeah.
So they're just hot right now, and I don't think you know who in the playoffs anything can happen. And so of course I'm hoping for my team to win, but just looking at the paper, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that kind of what you were saying, Scott. Christian McCaffrey is just going to run all over Seattle, and they're not going to really do a whole lot. And when they fill the box, they'll just pass it to Debo and George Kittle, and they'll just destroy him. So
So I also agree with the San Francisco victory. My predicted score is 37-16. I also jump on the board of the strong run game. I'm predicting between 150 to 200 total rushing yards for the entire team. Mostly McCaffrey, but also Debo in there. And I think Seattle in particular will really struggle to move the ball. That that they're going to have a whole lot of field goals. Whenever they get to that 30-yard line and can't move more, and maybe a lucky touchdown when they can flip the field once. And but yeah, I think this is going to be a game where San Francisco scores often and easily, and Seattle does not.
All right. Let's move on to our next one. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Chargers, or sorry, Los Angeles Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, and so the Jaguars kind of did almost like a come from behind kind of victory of the division. Um, you know, seeing them during the season, they weren't really doing a whole lot. It kind of took Trevor Lawrence to really turn into what we expected from him about halfway through the season, and then they kind of turn on the firepower there. And I think they also have a winning streak right now of I think 5 games or so. Um, One thing I want to mention is that these two teams did play already earlier in the season, and Jacksonville blew out the Chargers. That game was, I think, it was 38-10. Jaguars. That was the beginning of the season. And so we've got um, a good running game on both sides. Um, I think for me, I'm going to say that Jacksonville is going to win this game. I think that they're going to win 28-24. They're going to win a close one. It's going to be tight, but I think that the running game of Travis Etienne, mixed with Trevor Lawrence, kind of burst into who everyone thought he could be, and then Doug Peterson's coaching, who we've already seen him take a team to the Super Bowl before. I think that's going to be what does it, and also that it's at home for Jacksonville. So that's my thought.
All right. So I think that this might be the most exciting game of Wild Card Weekend, probably the closest, probably a lot of back and forth scoring. And my prediction is that with 2 minutes left, the Chargers are up by one. And and Jacksonville comes down. Trevor Lawrence becomes the hero, leads his team down for a game-winning field goal. And the final score 28, Jacksonville 28-26. Um, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have that breakout game. Expect 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, just that game. Chargers are much more experienced playoff wise. Justin Herbert, although very young as well, is more experienced. And so that's why I think it's going to be such a close game. But in the end, Lawrence is the hero. Game winning field goal, Jacksonville wins.
Okay. I'm going the other way. Not in terms of a close game, because I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games, maybe the most exciting game of the playoffs. I think both defenses are going to struggle in this one. The Chargers defense, run defense is really bad. It's the worst in the NFL. And so the Jaguars will be able to run all over them. I think Trevor Lawrence has a great game. I think Justin Herbert has a great game. This is both of their first playoff games, but they're both going to do really well. But I'm thinking that it's of those quarterbacks, Lawrence is going to be the one that makes that mistake that ends up costing them. And so I'm predicting a Chargers victory of 41-34.
Okay, next game, Miami at Buffalo. Um, Buffalo, obviously one of the more powerful teams, regardless of ranking within the playoffs, but um, also coming off of a good victory and also an emotional moment. Miami had high hopes and kind of struggled, limped into the playoffs here. Um, so I am predicting a Buffalo victory with a whole lot of firepower. Final score Buffalo 41-23. I think Josh Allen is going to explode once again, like we expect. 4 total touchdowns from Josh Allen, at least one of them running. And I think Miami's gonna struggle. They're gonna be down big early and struggle to get back in, rely way too much on the passing game, and Tua's going to be sacked 6 times, something like that. It is Tua playing. He's in, right?
No,
He's out.
he's out.
No.
They're starting
I'm
the
sorry.
third string rookie as well, Skylar Thompson.
Concussion protocol, I think, still.
Okay. Well, then this guy is going to get sacked I'm guessing 6+ times, and it just can never get back into the game.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking. Yeah, Skylar Thompson is going to start. He won his only start of the NFL, or his only game last week, but it wasn't ugly. It wasn't pretty. They won 11-6, I think. He didn't lead a touchdown drive. He didn't throw a touchdown. He only has one touchdown pass on the season against 3 interceptions. The Dolphins have really more than just limped. They stumbled and backed their way into the playoffs better than any other team has done. It's been bad, and it's not going to get any better playing against a high-powered Bills team. It's remember last year about playoff Josh Allen. He threw 8 touchdowns against no interceptions last year. He's just going to pick it up right where they left it off. I think he'll, like Dustin said, I agree. He's going to score 4 touchdowns. I think 3 passing, 1 rushing. The Bills will jump on top really early, and they'll never trail. Final score 38-17.
So, yeah, I look at this and I kind of see a similar thing of like the 49ers and Seahawks, and then the Bills and the Dolphins, because Seahawks and the Dolphins kind of just got helped in. They have no business being there, to be honest, but they're kind of there. But then the Niners and the Bills have these crazy offenses coming in, so um, I think that Tua being out on concussion protocol, the just the Dolphins kind of being injured all around. The Bills, I think, are going to be. Um, I think a lot of it's still running on a lot of motion. They want to. I think that a lot of it's going to be like, let's do it for Demar still kind of mindset, and I think that is going to really. I think that's going to be a driving factor for them, and so I see this as also a lopsided victory for the Bills, 34-16, really similar to Scott's there. Um, yeah, so I think that Josh Allen might, 4 touchdowns, maybe even 5. um, let's, yeah.
Okay. All right, halfway home. Uh, let's jump into the Giants at the Vikings, also on Sunday afternoon. These two teams played 3 weeks ago, Christmas Day, I think. These teams played in Minnesota. It's a rematch from there. It was a great game, back and forth. Vikings won with a field goal, a 61-yard field goal, in walk-off fashion to win it. And so it was close. The Giants are a surprise. They went 4-13 last year, and yet they're here with a new coach that's should be considered for the coach of the year for getting his team into the playoffs. Daniel Jones has played his best season. The Vikings, it's been an extremely weird one. They are 11-0 in 1-score games this year. That's never happened before. It's insane. 11-0 in 1-score games, which means that they either win in really clutch style or they get blown out. Those are the only options. And so it's weird for them. And so it's really hard to understand who the Vikings are. But my prediction here, the Giants are going to put up a big fight early. They're going to put the Vikings in a 14-0 hole. And the Vikings are going to have to dig themselves out of it. They've done that before. Remember the Colts? So they've dug themselves out of holes. They're going to go into halftime down 10, but the second half, they'll explode. They'll get 2 touchdowns to Justin Jefferson. They'll get 1 to Dalvin Cook. But the Giants will come back, and it's going to be a 1-possession game. And you know what? The Vikings win those. So final score is 31-24 Vikings.
I'll go ahead and go. So I think I agree with you, Scott. I think it's going to be a close one. I think the Giants will really put up a fight. But I think that the Vikings run defense is going to be able to do some damage against Saquon, which by the way, Saquon Barkley didn't get injured at all. To at least to my knowledge this season. That's impressive by itself. So congrats to him. But I think that the Vikings defense is going to hold up against him. It's going to be close, and I think it's going to be Vikings 24-21 again in that kind of a one score type deal, which you're just reading that stat. Vikings win those. I think Justin Jefferson is going to have a crazy game that really should cement him into that MVP conversation. I don't know why he's not there already, but it really should. And so I think that that plus Dalvin Cook will help them win the game.
The theme here is low scoring and close, and I'm on that same track. This is going to be lower scoring. I'm predicting the teams combined for like 8 field goals. It's just they struggle to get into the end zone. They combined for the eight different field goals. A couple touchdowns are scored by each team maybe. But I do think that Minnesota wins. Final score 23-20. Um, it's the difference is really going to be just Minnesota's passing attack in order to convert those third and longs and finish in the end zone with Justin Jefferson getting that touchdown or touchdowns they get. But yeah, close game, possibly even an overtime game, but Minnesota wins it. A whole lot of field goals, sore right legs for the kickers.
Okay. Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. So with the Ravens, it's been ruled that Lamar Jackson is doubtful to play, so we don't expect to see him. Tyler Huntley is questionable, so I think that if they're lucky, they have Tyler Huntley, but they're probably going to be having Anthony Brown play, and so I think that's what to expect from Baltimore and their quarterback situation. Um, and the Bengals, we kind of saw this last year. I think the Bengals started out pretty, if I remember right, they started out kind of rough this year as well, and then they just like last year worked up their record to I think it's like 10 and something or 11-5 or something right now. I'm not sure what it is, but notable. And so they've been in this position before. They got to this, and then they went to the Super Bowl last year. And I think that nothing's going to stop them from this. And so they're going to hand it over to the Ravens pretty easily and make it a 30-17 game. I think that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Boyd and Higgins, just like last year, the trio is going to just explode. There's no way to stop them. And so I think that's what's going to be the winner for the game, and the fact that Lamar Jackson isn't there to throw and run around. I don't think it's going to be easy for the Ravens.
What was your final score, Cody?
I said 30-17.
Okay.
All right. So Baltimore, you talked about the quarterback struggle and all. I think that's just going to be kind of the theme is that Baltimore has no passing attack in this whole game. They're able to run it, occasionally, but play action's completely ineffective, and just can't convert passes very well. Whereas Cincinnati's gonna be able to do just fine on both passing and rushing. And Joe Burrow's gonna have 3 total touchdowns. Final score: Cincinnati wins 30-10. It's a blowout game. Baltimore scores twice, a touchdown and a field goal. Just no passing attack at all. Can't move the ball.
Yeah. This is the most lopsided game of the wild card weekend. Even if the Ravens had Lamar Jackson, it's just not a good matchup for the Ravens. The Bengals have a really good rushing defense. They don't have Lamar Jackson, or the Ravens have been really secretive about it. Most likely he's out for the entire season, and they're just not saying it. And so even if they have Tyler Huntley, there's no real passing attack down the field. And so the Bengals are a top 10 rushing defense. the Ravens will not find any success on the ground. They'll have to try and throw. This is an almost perfect game for the Bengals. They'll win in blowout fashion. My final score is 37-3.
All right. So the last game and an interesting one, Dallas, which has been a highly powered offense and defense for most of the season versus Tampa Bay, who's only in here because everybody else in their division sucks somehow worse than they did. So I think that this is going to be the biggest blowout. Even with all the experience at Tampa Bay, they can't get it together. I'm predicting Tom Brady has 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and Micah Parsons becomes Tom Brady's absolute best friend. He is hugging him all game long, and Dallas has 2 defensive touchdowns as a result. Final score: Dallas wins 48-16.
Okay. This one I struggled with a little bit. The Cowboys kind of stumble over their own feet a lot of times on offense. Dak Prescott led the league with interceptions and he missed 3 games. So I mean that's not a very good thing. And so I don't like the Buccaneers. Their defense is okay, but their best part of their defense is their secondary. And so I think they're going to make life difficult for Dak Prescott and make him force the ball underneath to Tony Pollard, which is usually a good plan because Pollard is really good at that. But this is going to be a defensive battle. I think the Cowboys pass rush, like Dustin alluded to, is going to get after Tom Brady. They're going to force some frustration. I expect at least one iPad to be thrown from Tom Brady. But the Buccaneers pass defense is going to blanket those receivers. They're going to force at least one turnover from Dak, and it's going to be a 3-3 halftime tie is what I'm thinking. But the adjustments are going to come from Dallas' side. Again, this is going to be a defensive battle, but I'm picking a win from the Cowboys 17-13.
So my first thought as well kind of agrees with you, Scott, that it's hard to kind of figure out what to expect from especially the Cowboys right now. And the reason I'm saying this is I look back at their schedule and they beat the Eagles in the most recent game, 40-34. They lose horribly to the Commanders, 26-6. But then earlier in the season, they also blow out the Vikings, 40-3. These weird games, and you try to figure out who they are. And then Dallas, at least as of in recent memory, has this ability to choke in stunning fashion in the playoffs. Tom Brady is a postseason quarterback. This year, we don't really know what happened this year. I think it was just the offensive line was in shambles. But maybe there's some other things too, other injuries. But obviously, we could tell
Tom Brady has some off-field issues going on as well.
That's true. Yes, we can note that for sure.
He lost a ring.
Yeah. He did. And so, yes, Tom Brady did not play like Tom Brady during the season, but I still think he's a postseason quarterback, and so they're going to do well in this game, but they're not going to win. It's going to be close, and I think it's going to be the Cowboys 27-20. Just one possession game. I think the Cowboys will win, but they're going to be playing it close like they tend to do in these kind of games.
Okay. Well, we predicted the same winner for every single game except one. The only game we're different on the winners is the Jaguars and Chargers. I'm the only one that picked the Chargers to win that game. Other than that, we all picked the same exact winners across the board. A little bit different games as far as what we're predicting there, but it'll be interesting. We'll look at. Obviously, we get 1 point for guessing the correct winner. and so most of us will have the same amount of points, except for that Chargers Jaguars game. But then the next, only one person will get a point based on the margin of victory. The how close the game was based relative to our predictions. And then there is a possibility for a third point if someone gets the score exactly right. I don't see that happening. That's really tough to do, but there is that possibility. So thanks for tuning in. Please put your thoughts in your predictions in the comment sections on social media, on the website, other areas. Follow us. Let us know how dumb we are for predicting the things that we're doing, or what you think we're doing right. We will. We have some time right now, so let's tease what we're doing on Saturday morning here. If we're prepared to do that, if Cody has a memory that he wants to let everyone know that what we're going to be covering for Saturday morning, and some of the topics we might cover as well. Cody, am I putting you on the spot too early, or do you have one?
I think you're putting me on the spot a little bit too early. I'll have to get back to you on that. So,
yeah.
But I'll make sure there's a memory ready.
Yeah. So we will check in. We'll put a comment on our website and on social as well, teasing what we're going to do on Saturday morning. But
yeah, if I can take a couple of minutes here. So we were originally going to do this last night. We scheduled it one day. Since we're talking about sports and a lot of our memories are fan experience, I got invited to attend University of Arkansas basketball game last night, and so that's why we rescheduled. But just I just want to comment on how fun it is to watch live sports, and I'm so glad that following all the madness of 2020, that live sports is back, that arenas are full, and it is just so fun to be part of a live sports experience. And so I'm sitting there with my wife, and it's really fun to be part of this fun experience, cheering when University of Arkansas does something fun. And then everybody around, as soon as they played Alabama, who's number 4 in the country, very, very good team, does well. A lot of the fans around are booing, and Jazz is like, "That's so mean," and and it's just an interesting being part of that fan experience where it's really exciting to see good things happen. At the same time, you're thinking like, I just hope both teams have fun. But it's the live sports experience. It just can't be beat by any other sports experience. And so I hope that any of those that are listening, that you take the time to try to attend live sports, that it's such a fun experience, and such a fun opportunity to do that. Any
yeah,
thoughts or comments?
I absolutely agree. Attending the college basketball games where and at BYU, we talked about that a few weeks ago, and during Jimmer Mania, that was insane, and that kind of culture and that kind of fever didn't die down after Jimmer left. It just became this huge thing. The BYU changed conferences. They went to the WCC, where they now face off against Gonzaga twice a year. And first time we had them at home, we beat them. They were a number 1 ranked team in the country at the time, and BYU beat them at home. And there's such a big fever that goes along with live sports that you just can't really get from watching it on TV. You just can't. It's different. Sitting in the student section, I assume, is much different than sitting in the general audience. But still, it was a lot of fun watching certain players that came through BYU and did really good there. Tyler Haws was there for a little bit, and he was really good. And a few other guys as well. And then the BYU football games as well. Most of my BYU football experience was actually up in the press booth, more than on the field, which is obviously quite a bit different. There's no cheering up there in the press booth. You have to remain kind of as unbiased as you can. But I got to travel places. I got to go to Salt Lake and be in the press box at the University of Utah game a couple of times, and just see different experiences when you travel with your team and you're on the road at a and you see the hostile environments and that way too when you travel with your team rather than go at home. It's different, and it's a lot of fun. I second what Dustin said, that go to live sports as often as you can. It's a different experience.
I agree. I have a deep appreciation for every experience I have in going to something live, whether it even be a minor league baseball game. It's just the environment of being in a baseball game is fun. It's not as electric and as exciting as a basketball or as a football game, but just in the atmosphere of a baseball game, being outside, being outdoors with everyone else is fun. And so I have a deep appreciation for that in all the live games I've attended.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fan experience, right, is it's important, and it's maybe a topic that we can discuss in future times. Is Scott mentioned that hostility, and and something that I experienced last night. It kind of almost breaks your heart a little bit, that looking down watching college basketball, right? These are 18, 19, 20-year old kids, right? They're just children. Although they're 6'9", incredibly talented children, they're just children. And people around us yelling terrible obscenities and cursing and horrible things. That's an interesting thing about hostility in sports, is the things people are willing to say to a child, to a 19-year-old kid, can sometimes be heartbreaking. So that is something that we can maybe discuss a little bit more in depth at another time. But the importance of respect, understanding that the other team is not the enemy; they're the competition.
Yeah, I like that. That was one of the things I saw that when I was at BYU and sitting in the stands, especially when we played Utah at one point, and there how many barbs were traded back and forth between fans, and I wrote a big column that got a lot of hits on social media and in the newspaper. I wrote a column called "Sportsmanship is your responsibility too." To the fans, and it got a lot of attention, picked up by a couple of places as well, and that is my belief. I mean, when players get flagged or penalized for taunting or for yelling something at each other, the fans should too. It's not a free pass to trade insults to each other or down to the field and yell about someone's mother or something down there, and none of that is okay. And that's what people need to understand. These are human beings playing, and just because he wears a different jersey doesn't mean that he has a different it doesn't mean that he's not he wouldn't be. He's someone's son, he's someone's husband, sometimes he's someone's brother, he's a human being, and so we need to make sure that we're treating them that way as well, and the fans of teams that maybe you don't like. And yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's just one last thing to add to that. That's something that I think I heard Dustin say a little while back. I think a conversation between us three about going to a basketball game or something, and people yelling obscenities and whatnot. And if I remember correctly, something Dustin you had said was similar to what Scott just said, that that it's like they forget that these are real people, and that they're actually in their mind that they're just someone you see on TV every now and then, and they're an idol or a character, but they forget that, well, as an example, that Steph Curry or LeBron James, is a real person, or something like that, or these kids, 19-year-old kids, are real people, that they have value. And so that's just what I was gonna add, and something I just remembered.
Yeah, great discussion to finish up this meeting. We will let everyone know in following up to this one on our platforms what we're going to be discussing in a day and a half here. So we will let you all know, and we hope to see you then.